Giza, Egypt. Here on the west bank of the Nile stands the oldest of the 7 wonders of the ancient world, the Great Pyramid. According to accepted history, the Great Pyramid was built around 2500 BC as a tomb for the pharaoh Khufu. However, the dating of the pyramid and its association with Khufu is based entirely on evidence discovered in May of 1837 by British explorer Richard Howard Weiss.
Colonel Weiss basically used gunpowder to blast his way into a series of hidden chambers. And at the very topmost of these chambers, he allegedly found, painted onto the stone roof blocks there, the cartouche of King Khufu. Egyptologists were then able to attribute the Great Pyramid to Khufu and the construction date of 2500 BC, because that's when they believe Khufu reigned.
Since stone cannot be carbon dated, and no other inscriptions, except for the pharaoh's official monogram, were found on the pyramid, this date has stood relatively unchallenged. However, new evidence that has been found in Colonel Weiss's personal journal has researchers questioning his discovery. Some have even suggested that he may have forged the name of Khufu himself.
In Weiss's private journal, which I managed to view a couple of years ago, we find contradictions in his private notes. He was desperate to find a cartouche. On this particular night, he writes, there was nothing in the chamber that looked like hieroglyphics. And then, in his published book 3 years later, he writes, we found the cartouche.
After the contradicting evidence was exposed, in 2014, 2 University of Dresden archaeology students smuggled a sample of the paint used in the King Khufu markings and had it analyzed by a German laboratory. The sample was too small for radiocarbon dating, but the technicians were able to determine something shocking. The pigment was not painted onto the original limestone blocks, but a later plaster repair. This finding suggests that the cartouche was not original to the pyramid construction, but added at a much later date. Colonel Weiss had spent nearly $1.3 million on his expedition to uncover truths about the Great Pyramid. Is it possible that in his desperation to find something, he did the unthinkable, that he may have forged the name of Khufu onto the chamber wall, thereby establishing an inaccurate date for the structure? Interestingly, this is not the only evidence contradicting the dating of the pyramid and the entire Giza complex. A 7th century BC text, known as the Inventory Stela, unearthed by archaeologists in 1858, details repairs made by Pharaoh Khufu, including work on the Sphinx.
The Inventory Stela begs the question, how, if Khufu was repairing the Sphinx, which was supposedly constructed by his son, how could he be doing that? That would suggest that the Sphinx itself was already ancient at the time of Khufu.
Could the dating of the entire Giza site be wrong? In 1992, Boston University geologist Robert Schoch created a stir among Egyptologists when he suggested that based on the evidence of water erosion at the Sphinx enclosure, he would date the site to approximately 10,500 BC.
Immediately, without even seeing my evidence, they start going, it doesn't go back that far. I was talking about real evidence, real science, which they simply did not want to hear because it did not fit their preconceptions.
Like the Sphinx, is it possible that the Great Pyramid is also far older than Egyptologists are willing to admit? But if so, just who built it?
According to Arabian writers, Ibrahim al-Makrizi, the Great Pyramid was not constructed by Khufu, The Great Pyramid was constructed long before the Great Flood by a king with the name of Saurid. And then the old Arabian writers clearly say Saurid is the same figure which the Hebrew society calls Enoch.
Enoch was taken up into the heavens by the archangel Michael. He was told by the angels of a coming cataclysm. And he was instructed to build the Great Pyramid as a repository for the knowledge that he not only learned in heaven, but all the earthly knowledge as well. Perhaps these were otherworldly beings, described as angels. Maybe everything we know about Egyptology is wrong, and we have to go back and open up our imagination to the possibility that there's another explanation that in fact involves the assistance of extraterrestrials in the creation of the Great Pyramid.
In November 2015, researchers at Giza scanned the Great Pyramid using thermal cameras and found two anomalous areas. They submitted a request to the Department of Antiquities to do a more formal investigation in hopes of locating what they believe might be hidden chambers. As scientists continue to discover new finds at the site, might they stumble upon the evidence that supports the ancient accounts? After all, this has happened before, with the unearthing of a once mythical land.